The Edmonton Oilers picking up a big 2 points in Pittsburgh to wrap up a 4-game Eastern Conference road trip. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Oil Stream postgame show right here at Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola and Matt Kassian with you to break it all down alongside Zach Tacum, making it all happen behind the scenes as the Oil cruise to a 4-0 victory in Pittsburgh. The Penguins in a world of hurt. It's going to be a painful last 5 weeks or 6 weeks or so of the season in Pitt. But here in Edmonton, things are ramping up towards the postseason, and the Oilers bounce back after a disappointing result yesterday in Buffalo with a nice convincing win. And then, of course, the Thursday game in Columbus was not particularly great. So 2 wins, a loss in regulation, and 1 in a shootout yesterday. 780-218-9999 if you want to text in, if you're listening on iHeartRadio or the TuneIn app or on our audio stream, you can get at us that way. And then if you're watching on our EST YouTube channel, thank you, and hit the thumbs up on your way in and get to the Nasty Chat. Do your thing, Nasty Chat. Have some fun on this Sunday afternoon. Let's go into the scoring summary, and then we're going to go to Cass, and then we're going to get to your text, and then we're going to go to some clips. It's going to be a good show. Keep it neat and tidy. In this one, it was the Oilers getting on the board early, a minute 8 in. Connor McDavid, he had to shoot, right? No other play. He couldn't find a pass to pass it to someone or to give it to someone to try to score unassisted. McDavid's 24th at 108. That would stand up as the game winner, by the way. Matthias Ekholm would add to the lead at 8:53 to make it 2-0. Ekholm's 5th, first goal in 41 games for Ekholm. Bouchard and McDavid, the helpers there. No scoring in the second period. And then in the third period, Darnell Nurse, a laser from McDavid and Nugent Hopkins. Nurse's 7th to make it 3-0 at 10:42. And then Nurse again, his 2nd of the night, 8th of the year, from Matthias Ekholm just after a power play to make it 4-0 at 15:58. The guys joking around, pushing each other in the celebratory scrum, and Darnell almost got his hat-trick goal with the seconds ticking off the clock in the dying seconds of the game, but Tristan Jarry makes the save. All right, your shots today. 42-41 in favor of Edmonton. The face-off percentage, 57.1% to 42.9 in favor of the Pens. The Oilers' power play goes 0 for 4. They did get the one after the power play had expired from Nurse. And then the PK goes 5 for 5. That's good. Hits 15-4 in favor of Pittsburgh. Block shots 17-14 in favor of Edmonton. Officially 9 giveaways for Pitt, 6 for Edmonton, and 10 takeaways for the Oilers, 2-7 for the Penguins. And it was a combined team shutout. Calvin Pickard doesn't get the shutout because he was brought off the ice due to, I think the concussion spotter wanted to get a look at him after Brian Rust ran into him. So a minute 16 of Stu Skinner nullifies Pickard's shutout, but the team gets the shutout. I think that's how they formally put that in as the statistics go. If I'm wrong, let me know, but I had to double-check it a couple times as I was looking at it in the third period, and I believe it's a team shutout, Cass.
I think so, yeah, which is too bad. Too bad, because Pickard earned it, and it wasn't like it was a whole period that Stuart Skinner played. So too bad for him. I know, he doesn't get the shutout on the score sheet officially, just him, but he has the shutout in the hearts of his teammates. He gets the job done. Played a really solid game. Really, really solid game. Great game from Calvin Pickard, Captain Pickard. And you know what, Tommy? The Pens aren't what the Pens used to be. No. But we talked about it before the game where we if Edmonton got the lead, how important it was for them just to stay consistent with it. And they did that today. Connor McDavid pulls the trigger, no one to pass it to, has to shoot it, forced to shoot it, scores a goal, and they don't really ever look back from there. So solid, I guess, afternoon for them, morning for us from the Edmonton Oilers.
Yes, this time change, that sucked this morning. That's it. I'm not complaining anymore.
Absolutely brutal.
How did it go at church? Were the girls good? Did you guys go for lunch?
They were good. We did lunch at home. Had some
Okay.
leftovers. I got a roast on the smoker, so we'll have that. Nice Sunday roast in the evening. So we just ate at home today. They've been pretty good. I'm gonna get them out to burn some energy here after we're done off this. Let them rip around a little bit. Hopefully tire them out for the rest of the day.
That's a nice little Sunday. All right, the Oilers get the win, wrap up the road trip with a 2-1-1 record, and you talked about it, Kassian. A pretty efficient, clean victory. Anything stand out? Like, I just think, to me, the performance in general was better. I know that they gave up a ton of shots, but a couple of moments were a little bit, I don't want to nitpick this win because it's a pretty convincing win, but a couple of moments where it got a bit scrambly and the Pens had some opportunities. Pickard was good. Made some big saves, but I didn't think that the Pens were particularly dangerous today, and the Oilers kept them at bay pretty much the whole day.
No, it kind of looked like the game the other day, a week ago in Edmonton. It was almost like a repeat of the same, where it's like, yeah, there was a few moments they had some chances, but they didn't look threatening. There was no long sustained period where it's like, oh man, Pittsburgh's really got the momentum. They're really pressing here. They're really dangerous. Edmonton is just trying to hold on and outlast this press. Now there were a few errors and a few not horrible giveaways, but a few breakdowns in the defensive zone where there were a couple opportunities. But Pickard does make the saves, and the Edmonton Oilers get the win. So I don't think we really want to nitpick over too much. I mean, could we nitpick that they maybe took too many penalties?
Sure,
maybe.
Yeah.
But the penalty killing was solid again. I know he doesn't score today again, which isn't surprising, but I actually like the rest of Connor Brown's game today.
Okay.
I thought he actually had a solid game on the penalty kill. I thought he worked pretty hard. So I just want to give him that little pat on the back because he needs all the pats on the back he can get.
Yes. It has not been a fun season at all for Connor Brown. And he did get set up by Evander Kane. He had the little redirection there. And then I thought he made a great back check in the dying seconds of the game. When Pittsburgh was rushing up the ice, and a good stick lift and pushed it back the other way. It created the opportunity for Darnell Nurse to get the hat trick. He does not convert, but so some positive vibes to Connor Brown, who got bumped up to the Henrique Kane line, Cass. And, Carrick didn't play today. We talked a little bit about it on the pregame show. Derek Ryan gets in there. I thought Derek Ryan was good, but Adam Henrique, 3 games into his Edmonton tenure, not much there so far. What are you seeing?
No, not much. Today was a day you didn't have to have that much, though. They were in the driver's seat, and it was control the game, not needing him to break out. One of my game changers heading into this one was I think he's going to have to start to show us something. And I know it hasn't been very long. It's only been a couple of days, but we do want to see a little bit more from him. Now, I still think he was one of the good ads, one of the biggest names out there. He's a guy that's put up points, knows how to score goals. So I don't doubt that he's going to get there. But yeah, not a ton from him today. Let's give him a couple days now where he's going to have some opportunity to practice with the team, to be back at home a little bit and hopefully settle in, because at some point, Tommy, we need to be talking about, how Adam Henrique was the one that was the difference tonight, and that, his line was really going and he was really going, and that they created and that they, generated offense and put some points on the board that win the Oilers a hockey game.
Yeah. Being traded, catching up with the team on the road. I mean, Belsey joked about when he was traded and he didn't have a suit. He went down to Cleveland, and then he got called up right away by the Avalanche after the deadline, and he was wearing a tracksuit and had to go buy one and stuff. I imagine that there is a bit of a logistical dilemma in all of this for Carrick and Henrique. I don't know how much it leaks onto the play on the ice, but Cass, can you take us into how a player tries to handle something like that? We're on multiple teams in the NHL.
It all depends on the situation heading into it, because for some players, trade deadline's a surprise when they get traded. And I'll go, for me, I wasn't traded at the trade deadline, so it wasn't. It was still a shock and a surprise, but it wasn't right at trade deadline.
Right.
Now, for guys that are fairly certain, Adam Henrique, he knew that it was likely that he was going somewhere. And so for him, he probably was ready. And I've seen guys do this. Jason Spezza, my last year in Ottawa, he thought he was going to get traded. So we went on the road. It was close to trade deadline. And he had 2 massive, like full size suitcases loaded up full of stuff. So it wasn't like just normally you'd have like little just travel day bag, basically, for 1 or 2 days on the road. He was bringing everything just in case. Cause he's like, well, I need to have some stuff with me to have the suits and that sort of thing. So some guys, when you're prepared, you're a little bit more prepared, but it's still a shock, especially if you have a family and you've been somewhere for a number of years. I mean, you are upending your whole life and not knowing where you're going to go. You're trying to figure out, is my family going to come with me? Are they going to wait behind? How fast am I going to be able to find a place? I now have to deal with NHLPA rules regarding getting a vehicle and having a rental vehicle and getting my vehicle there and, getting it shipped. How long does that take? And if my family flies there, are we just going to have one vehicle? How are we going to work this out? And where are we going to stay? Is it going to be in an apartment? Am I going to be in the hotel the first little bit? How fast can I find a place that I'm only going to have for a couple of months? So there's all kinds of logistical things that are going on. And yes, you have team services that help. Absolutely, they do. But it's still stressful. There's still, even if you're prepared for it, I think there's still a stressful component to it because you're packing up your whole life. I mean, when I got traded from Minnesota to Ottawa, is that phone call, you look and you see at the time the GM of the Minnesota Wild was Chuck Fletcher, and you see Chuck Fletcher calling your cell phone and you're like, that's not normal for like a Thursday afternoon.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you have 2 days, Brian Murray's going to give you a call. They're on the train to Montreal right now. So there's reception spotty, but he's going to call you. You're probably going to be in Ottawa in 2 days. And that was that. And it's like, okay, now I have to figure out how to pack up my whole life in 2 days and move back to Canada across the border.
Right.
And even for Henrique, where, he's now moving from California to Canada, there's tax implications, there's financial implications, there's so much stuff that's going on. So it can take a little bit. Now he's a professional, he's a veteran that's been around for a while. So the onus ultimately on him is to be able to separate the stresses of life and separate that transitional and actually still produce on the ice, which is hard. But that is his responsibility. And, hopefully he's got a good support team that's helping him with everything because, there's lots going on for him. That's a little bit maybe of a longer story than the question you were asking, Tommy, but I can't help myself.
No, it's fair. I mean, people are probably like, these guys that they traded for, you didn't play 2 of them. And then the one that they did play, kind of a quiet afternoon. So maybe a little bit of a glimpse at what it's like for someone who went through it in yourself. And I just think that's neat to hear the experiences of a former player and, might kind of connect people to what these guys are going through. Were you surprised no Troy Stecher on this trip after they made the trades?
Well, he's here for depth.
Mm-hmm.
He's here for depth. And really if I put my thinking hat on and I'm like, okay, let me try to get into the mind of a GM and of Ken Holland on this. You brought in Troy Stecher, so if you're playing in the playoffs and Vinny Desharnais, the pace goes up and Vinny Desharnais is struggling against a team that's really fast, you have someone that you can bring in that's more mobile. Mm-hmm. That's a veteran player. That's what you're doing. You didn't bring in Stecher to upset the apple cart. Now, you're going to want him to play at some point. You're going to want to get him some reps. We haven't seen Knobloch do the 11-7, which, still potential. Maybe we see Stecher step into the lineup that way, or maybe you just throw him in the lineup instead of Desharnais at some point. But he wasn't brought in here to dramatically improve the defense. He was brought in here to be depth. If someone goes down, someone gets hurt, you have a veteran guy you can put in that you can reasonably count on. That's what he's here for. So I'm not surprised we haven't seen him yet. We will see him at some point, but there's no reason just to rush him in.
780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. Your thoughts and comments on the Oilers 4-0 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Tom Gazzola, Matt Kassian, and Zach to come with you as we break it all down. 2-1-1 on the trip. Cass, overall, how do you look and assess this Eastern Conference road trip as the Oilers return home?
Yeah, well, ultimately it's successful. It's successful. You did what you needed to do. You were over 500. You go 2-1-1. You get some points. Now they didn't necessarily get the points against the team you thought they were going to get the points against, but you still come out with a better winning percentage than you went into the trip. And for me, that was a win going on a 4-game little ride. So I think it's positive when you look at it overall. Now you have to realistically look at the Buffalo game and say, well, that can't happen. You have to look at the Columbus game and say, well, that can't happen.
Yeah.
But overall, you were still satisfied with a solid game to start off the trip, and then a solid game to finish the trip. So you're ultimately, I think, happy with it. Not freaking out about the hiccups in the middle. There's things to clean up. But Tom, you have a better winning percentage than when you left, and that is what I think they needed to do, and that is what they did.
They improved to 39, 21, and 3 on the season. Good for 81 points. Let's go into the inbox. Cal in the Park says, I've been very critical of Darnell and the Oilers' defense all year. Kudos to Darnell and the defense for the job that they did today. Strummy Bumblebee Tuna texting a picture of his boy all suited up. Says the season ended today. Hopefully it was a great season, Strummy. Thanks for keeping us updated. I'm sure your boy will be very pleased with what he sees from the Oilers when he gets home to see the highlights. 4-0, they win it. This one comes in and says, sign Pickard before the playoffs to a 3-year extension, $900K, and bonuses up to $1.1 million, one-way deal. If we can't trade Campbell or don't buy him out, we have a solid backup at the same price as what we gain by having Campbell in the AHL. It was a wash for the remaining years. Cass, Pickard making a case for himself to be an Oiler longer than a 2-year term with the franchise like he has been.
Yeah. No, he absolutely. Tommy, I know people freaked out because he had one not great game a couple of weeks ago, and people were all back on the, we need to trade everybody train. Now maybe that is calmed down since the trade deadline has passed, so you can't anymore. But realistically, he's going to be from a price standpoint. Like if you do plan on having Campbell in the minors, Pickard's going to be relatively inexpensive. You don't start eating up too much of your salary cap just buried in goaltenders because you have one that's on a one-way deal that's quite large down in the AHL. Yes. So to me, yeah, I think the question isn't if you sign him, it is how long you sign him. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be when. Do you wait until the offseason, or is this something that you could look at doing before the playoffs start? Now, there's probably varying opinions on that. You might get him for cheaper if you sign him before the season ends. With that being said, there's still lots of year left, or a little bit of year left, and playoffs too. So I would assume that they re-sign him. I would be looking to. It would make sense to me.
Yeah. He was honorable mention on the Oil Stream list of importance going into the season that Dusty and I did. So blind squirrel finding a nut. Got that one with Calvin Pickard. He picks up the win today. All right, Taco texting in. Good afternoon, Taco. And Taco says, Tommy, nice bounce back by the Oil today. I'm glad Pickard was able to preserve the shutout. It's a team shutout. We'll just reiterate that. I hope Henrique starts to find some chemistry with the team sometime soon. Thank you for the text, Taco. Daniel says, still no Connor Brown goal. LOL. And Cass, you pointed out, he did some good things today. Good on him. Credit where credit is due, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Solid win, says Displaced You, Connor, after a couple of stinkers. Kind of sucks Calvin didn't get the solo shutout. Mavs with the long text. Mavs says, I can't complain about a win too much, but Pitt didn't play with the same tenacity as Buffalo yesterday, and the Oil had a bit more time to make plays with the puck, and these guys still look like they're fighting the puck, can't accept the pass, or can't make tape-to-tape passes, so on a few occasions they couldn't break out clean or turn the puck over at both blue lines. Awesome to see Pickard get a shutout. Should have had a shutout last time he played Pitt. Good to see they closed the road trip on a good note. Go Oil. Again, it's a team shutout because Skinner had to come in for 1:16 in the second period, and you saw Pickard, I think they were waving at him, and he was like, what? Maybe oversold getting bumped?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. And you have the spotters, and I understand why they do it.
Yeah.
I get why they do it. It they're trying to watch out for the players, but it just kind of sucks in this instance. Yeah. And that's, if you're going to try to sell something, you might sell it too much. And maybe
he did a good job. The tape-to-tape passes that Mavs is talking about, what'd you think about just like the execution and all of that, the crispness, Cass?
Yeah, it was decent today. It wasn't perfect as we discussed. It wasn't a perfect game. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were pretty crisp. I definitely didn't think they were turning pucks over. It didn't. It wasn't sloppy. It wasn't like they had a ton of breakdowns or a ton of grade A turnovers today. So yeah, I mean, the execution was there. I think you're hoping, especially with like a Henrique, and I know he's the only new guy that plays, but that some of that improves at least on his end. Some of the communication, getting used to still playing with the defense positionally, where they go, what their tendencies are, what his own tendencies are. So you want to see the crispness continue up, but I thought it was decent today, Tom.
I'm with you on that. I have another text here that came in from Shaggy in St. Albert. Kind of touches on the same thing, Cass. I'll just bounce it off you. A little bit different than what Mavs brought up. Shaggy in St. Albert says, "Hey guys, glad that they won. Maybe I'm being picky about this, but the Pens are a defeated team. Oilers seem to not have the killer instinct after going up 2-0 early. The game was still up for grabs until halfway through the third. Oilers seem to always play good enough to get by." You heard Jack say it a couple of times on the broadcast, Pens within striking distance. I didn't think the Pens had much. What would you say to Shaggy and St. Albert about the killer instinct? And they really didn't ice it until what? Darnell got that third one in the third period, right?
Yeah, well, you didn't ice it, but you were in control of the game the whole game.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah,
so like, I mean, killer instinct, yeah, to get that, the talk is, okay, well, whoever gets the next goal, right? Because 3-0 is a heck of a lot different than 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. And did it take to the middle of the third? Sure. It did, but Tommy, they still, I mean, still killer instinct. They still won 4-0. So like, they didn't let Pittsburgh back into it. Again, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like they just completely dominated.
Mm-hmm.
But they were in the driver's seat the entire time. Like at no time after they scored that first goal did I feel like Pittsburgh was going to make a big push. And did Pittsburgh really make, again, a big push where like, oh, they got all kinds of momentum. Mm-hmm. They're really challenging. They might score here. Like it never felt like when you see teams make a push, it starts to feel like it's inevitable.
Yeah,
that they're going to score a goal.
Right.
Like you can sometimes get that feeling just by how they're dictating the play and the opportunities and the chances. It didn't feel like that at all with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, and is Pittsburgh a defeated team right now? Yeah, they are.
Totally.
They are. They're falling apart. But Edmonton just beat them 4-0. So, I mean, you got to beat teams that are struggling, just like you have to beat teams that are playing well. And they were playing a team that was struggling today, and they beat them 4-0. Yeah. So I don't think we can nitpick or complain that it took them until the third to score the 3-0 goal. I mean, they were already up 2, and they were in the driver's seat.
A couple of small pockets in the game where you're like, oh, Pittsburgh's got a little bit of a thing going here, but it died pretty quickly each time. Cass, if I asked you this, like I will ask you this, when you're on a bench in the NHL even, and you're playing a Pittsburgh Penguins club that is defeated, and I think we all agree with that, and you're up 2-0 like the Oilers were, can you kind of tell and you just know that they're not going to be able to come back, or that if you need to turn it up a notch or two, you've got this? Like, is that fair to say this might be one of those scenarios?
Yeah, you can feel it, and it's dangerous to dwell in that because it can lead to complacency. But there are some games where you're up a couple of goals and you're like, yep, we got this. Mm-hmm. Now the onus is still on you to make sure that you continue to go out and that you do in fact have this, but you can tell with some teams, especially if they're struggling, where they're fragile, and you can break them emotionally. And like, okay, we don't want to do anything that's going to let them back into this and give them that hope and that belief, because the second you have hope and belief, the game can change. It can be a completely different game. But no, you feel momentum on the bench.
Yeah,
you feel it,
right.
And you can see it in your energy, in the plays you're making, in the pressure of the other team, in their energy. Like you can feel it, and it's a very real thing at times when you're playing a team that's a broken team or that's a struggling team. Yep. You can feel the sag, and you can feel like, okay, if we just keep doing what we're doing, there's no way they're winning this hockey game. 100% you can feel that.
780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. Gazzola, Kassian, and Zach to come with you. The Oilers win 4-0 in Pittsburgh this afternoon and pick up their 39th victory of the season in the process. A team shutout for Calvin Pickard and Stu Skinner. They don't get individual shutouts when they combine for it, but a shutout nonetheless. This one is interesting. Comes in from Sunny D, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Cass. Sunny D asks, what do you do if you're Crosby in the offseason? Sidney Crosby has another year left. He's a UFA going into 25-26. He was pretty frustrated today. Desharnais, I think, provoked him a bit. I kind of laughed when that happened, and I was like, he didn't need to do that to Crosby. But what do you think, Cass?
Oh, that's a big question.
Yeah,
Tom.
I know.
That's a big question. He knows they're going to be on a team that's going to take a couple years to get back if he stays. He's been with Pittsburgh his whole career. Does he want to move and try something else? Does he want to go win more Stanley Cups? Because and then that's going to be the driving decision. Does he want to try to win more Stanley Cups or not? Because if the answer is, well, he is to an extent content, not that he wouldn't want to win when he's still in Pittsburgh,
Sure.
but knowing that they're further away than a lot of teams will be, is he content to sit and wait and see what happens? Or does he want to try to go somewhere where he could have an opportunity to win? Mm-hmm. And that's a big question. It'd be weird. It's hard to imagine him in a sweater that's not a Pittsburgh Penguins sweater.
Same.
But you look at guys like a Jarome Iginla. You look at guys that played for one team for a really long time that kind of hit that point and they moved on. And will he do it? Maybe. I mean, I think only Sidney Crosby knows, and he might not know himself yet at this point. He may want to wait and see, but it's certainly an intriguing question, an interesting question. He's still not going to be cheap to re-sign, whether it's in Pittsburgh or elsewhere.
Right.
How much term does he want? That's going to be another question. How much term are teams willing to give him as he gets older for a player that still can absolutely play, as we've seen this year, still can be a fantastic player, still is a fantastic player. But for how many more years? So there's, I think, going to be probably a lot of conversation about that. And Dubas certainly is going to have his work cut out for him. Some of the early decisions he made, like bringing in Erik Karlsson, I think set them further back ultimately. There's another guy you're kind of like, well, how's he feeling with where he's playing in the team situation?
Yeah.
It's going to be, regardless, it's going to be some interesting times for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I'm sure some interesting discussions around Sidney Crosby.
It'll be neat to see. I think he stays. That's just my opinion, but unlike Iginla, Crosby's won it all. Multiple cups. I feel like he probably was. I still think of Martin Brodeur playing for the St. Louis Blues, and it's just so weird.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It was so bizarre. It didn't feel right. You just almost want to scrub it from your memory to a certain extent. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on with the nasty chat here. Jenna says, Crosby did this to himself. It's the price he's paying to play out the string with his buddies. Dr. Nutsy Dielson says, let the man go on another cup run. And Dr. Gonzo, hashtag free Crosby. Jim says he's won 3 cups. Yep. Black Havoc 14. Are the passes going to be crisp when being pressured on the forecheck from a team like Colorado? I'm just as much of an Oil fan as most here. I feel like this team will come up short facing cup teams. We just saw them play a really good game against Boston earlier in the week, Cass. I think they elevate their play. That's one of their things, their identity features. When they need to, they elevate, and then when they play lesser teams, they kind of toy with them, if you will.
Yeah, and it's going to be a challenge to beat a bunch of the teams in the West. There are some really good teams. Yeah. There's some really good teams that you're gonna have to beat. I mean, you're most likely going to have to go through either Vancouver or Vegas or LA. All I think challenging for the Oilers to play. You're going to have to go through Colorado or Dallas or Winnipeg. Again, and those would be the teams that are in it. There's no easy outs in the West, I don't think. No. So are you going to have to elevate your play? Well, of course, everyone's going to elevate their play in the playoffs, and I think they've done a decent job this year. How I have heard people complain in the past about them not beating, the teams that they should beat. And for the most part this year, they've done that. Now they've beaten some of the really good teams too, and they've elevated their game and played really well in those games. Playoff-like atmosphere. You use the Boston game as an example, which is a great example of sticking with it, scoring late and winning in overtime. So, yeah, listen, I'm not going to say those series in the playoffs are toss-ups because I think Edmonton's got a pretty good shot at it, but they're going to be hard-fought series, Tom. It's not Yeah, both teams are going to have to elevate. Teams are going to have to elevate to beat Edmonton, and they often do get up to play the Edmonton Oilers because of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They generally come in playing their best. You usually don't have that many games, or we don't see too many games where we can look at the other team and go like, man, they were stinky tonight. Mm-hmm. Like generally speaking, the Edmonton Oilers pull out the best of other teams, and for Edmonton, I think generally speaking, again, when they play the good teams, they usually elevate their game as well.
We will see if they can do that next Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche. That'll be a fun game. But between now and then, they face the Washington Capitals to kick off a 4-game homestand. We are live on location, Hudson's Bourbon Street on Wednesday night. Come join us. I've got tons of GCs to give away. You can get 6 o'clock or lager in a can as well. Cass, 2 days between games here. How do you look at this 4-game homestand coming up? Washington, Colorado, Montreal, and Buffalo before hitting the road for 3.
Yeah, well, to me, it's the same situation. If we're breaking it down into little game segments, is you got to be above 500 this time. Same thing. Like got to be above 500. You got to take points. I think you need to win the games against those lesser teams on this trip. Colorado is going to be a tough one. Yep. You could play well and lose that hockey game. Realistically, but you're trying to get the guys more settled in. For Henrique in particular, you're going to get a practice this week, a couple practices this week, opportunity to settle in a little bit at home, and for the Edmonton Oilers just to keep it rolling. You had a solid road trip. You end up with plus 500 winning percentage, which you wanted heading on the road trip, and you wanted that to be even better at home. Yeah. Ideally, Tom, you're coming out of this 3-1. That'd be the ideal scenario and realistic scenario for the Edmonton Oilers.
Well, they pooched that yesterday and Thursday, but they found a way to get the win today convincingly against the hapless Pittsburgh Penguins club. Last one for you, Cass. This is the most important one for me, at least today. What are we doing with the smoker today? Like, what do you got going as your concoction?
Yeah, we got a chuck roast on there. So I'll pull it out and finish it braising it in the oven with a bunch of veggies. So it'll be like a Sunday roast with potatoes and carrots and some onions and celery and the good stuff in there. So it'll be a solid,
what kind of sauce?
Bit of a jus.
Oh, jus?
It'll be like it'll be, it won't make it too thick. It'll be like a thin jus.
A jus.
Yep, it'll be yummy.
Like a good jus.
A jus.
That sounds delicious, and I hope you and the fam enjoy it. Cass, great work as always, my friend. We'll catch up with you this week.
Thanks a bunch, buddy. Sounds good.
All right, there's Matt Kassian, our game analyst, breaking down the Oilers 4-0 win, doing a smoker today. Oh, that would be so good. Beautiful day. The sun's out, snow is melting, Sprague's around the corner. The Oilers get a win. People in oil country making the most of a lazy Sunday, hopefully, and resting and relaxing on this Sunday in good old our town. Hello, Zacticum. How you doing? You got really excited when I asked him about what was going on with the smoker today.
Well, I had no clue that Cass really, had a smoker, and you use it frequently. I've enjoyed smokers before. I don't have one in my family. I don't know how to cook anything, to be fair, but I love smokers. Yeah, I still have yet to learn. I can boil an egg, but smokers, anything put in a smoker comes out 10 times better than any other way you'd cook it. So I really appreciated you asking him that, because
you lit up
I'm
like
genuinely curious.
Tree.
I did. Eyebrow raise and everything. You got me interested right there.
I got you, kid. That means you're hungry. I saw you had a big lunch too. So your thoughts on the game before we go down to the locker room in Pittsburgh?
I thought it was a pretty good game for the Oil. They started strong. They were able to get a lot of opportunities, but there was a couple times where I saw that they gave a couple giveaways. I saw Draisaitl tried to make a few fancy passes, and
he does that.
That's sort of his game. But there, the Draisaitl line played really well that entire game. Warren Fogle, McLeod, and Draisaitl, of course. That was a
first fight.
Fantastic.
He hung in there.
He hung in there.
I don't know if he needed to fight. He high-sticked Carlson. It's not like he ran him from behind or anything, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, and honestly, Pickard, it sort of sucks that he couldn't get the shutout for himself. Mm-hmm. Got the team shutout, 41 saves, of course. Skinner playing for that
Minute
little
16,
bit.
yeah.
Minute 16 seconds takes that away from him. But hey, probably in the locker room, they're like, hey, buddy, man, that's yours. Like, it's not on the stats, whatever, but he earned that for the team. So it is still his, in my mind.
And your heart.
And my heart.
Yeah.
Because Pickard played another fantastic game. And the more I see him in between the pipes, the more comfortable I am with him in net for the Oilers.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
The more I sees, the better he seems to play.
Yep.
Honestly. You don't want to overplay him, of course, but you don't want to put Skinner in there for too many. And I'm glad that Knobloch put him in to start for today's game. And he deserved the shutout last game against the Penguins. And he got the team a shutout this time around.
Yes.
So it was a really good game overall.
Very nice, Zacticum. Very nice. Take us into the locker room. Who's up first, pal?
So I think we'll have to head to the guy who scored twice, 2 goals, almost got the hat trick goal, the natural hat trick. I think it was a feed from Connor Brown.
It was.
Actually.
Yeah.
Right on the tape, but he was denied by Tristan Jarry. Here's no other than Darnell Nurse.
Second half of the season to date, it seems like anytime you guys have 1 or 2 games where things don't necessarily go your way, you guys bounce back with the big effort. What do you say about the collective whenever it comes to that aspect of the game?
Yeah, I think it's, for us kind of been a challenge, the whole year to, when you lose one, not let it snowball. And I think, for us to come out and grab it and put together 4 wins over the last 6 games and, pretty condensed schedule, it's a good sign for a group. That's got to continue.
How much onus do you put on your own shoulders as part of the leadership group as well as Connor? Because obviously he scores 108 into this one, but you guys deliver in a big way when your team kind of really needed to end this road trip on a high note.
Yeah, I think, as a leader guy that's been around for a while, you want to come out in an effort like this and make an impact. And, this was a good night where I was able to capitalize on a couple chances, and hopefully that can continue and continue to build as the end of the year comes.
Do you remember your first 2-goal game in the NHL?
Was it Florida? I was trying to think.
In Arizona.
It was Arizona. That's right.
2018.
Yeah, that was Arizona.
What does it mean?
Before Vegas. No, I remember.
What does it mean to you to deliver with 2 big ones?
I think just find a way to get to those spots and guys making good plays and to be able to capitalize on it's good. It's good, but like I said, it's got to continue here. There's a lot of big hockey games and coming up here over the stretch and getting ready for the end of this year.
Connor was saying that you guys felt like you let Calvin Pickard down a couple of starts ago. How much did you guys really want to show up for number 30? And then also just maybe speaking to his play today with 40 saves.
Yeah, we definitely let him down there in Columbus. And, he's a guy that comes and brings so much for our group each and every day, whether it's, work ethic, positive attitude. Whenever he's coming out here and playing the game too, he's kicking, he's making big saves at big moments and giving us a chance every time he's in there. So it was important for us to come and respond and give him an honest effort from our perspective. And even with that, he made a big save there at the end of the game to preserve a shutout. And it's always fun playing from him.
Darnell, they've had a rough go of it as of late, but they still have some of the names that they've had for a while. Is there still some extra pride in the fact that you're able to give up all those shots but keep them off the score sheet?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously there's a lot of guys on the team that a lot of us in here grew up looking up to and watching and playing in huge moments. So it was great for us to put together that team effort, and picks was huge for us.
How do you assess this 2 1-1 road trip?
I think obviously with the Columbus and Buffalo, we left opportunity for points on the table, so you can't be satisfied with that at all. But with that said, I think we had a couple big games where we showed up and played the right style of hockey. So not all positive, but more positive than bad.
All right, that was Darnell Nurse, scored his 7th and 8th goals of the season. Give Nurse 23 points on the year in 63 games. Just double checking to no assists for him. +2 as well, 2 penalty minutes, 7 shots, 1 hit, 19:49 time on ice for Darnell Nurse. Let's go to this text here really quickly. Mike in Thunder Bay says, Tom, can you wish my mother-in-law Rosa a happy birthday? We're enjoying watching the Oilers win today. And Rosa, happy birthday. glad that the Oilers made it a better one for you, and be well. And hopefully it's another great year for you. So, Rosa, happy birthday from all of us here at EST. All right, Zach, to come, where to?
The next guy we'll go to, he got 3 points today, 1 goal, 2 assists. Unfortunately, he lost his point streak in the game, last game, yesterday, with the Sabres. Here is Captain Connor McDavid.
The collective bounce-back effort we saw today coming off 2 disappointing results.
Yeah, obviously, we don't love the 2 losses there. We played a lot of hockey lately. That's no excuse, obviously, but 6 games in 9 days with travel, coast to coast. It's been a grind here, so we'll take the 2 points here. We'll take 5 of 8 on the road trip, and we'll take a little rest at home and get ready to go next week.
When you're playing that many games, you need both goaltenders firing. What do you say about the day that Calvin Pickard had?
Well, even yesterday, Skinny was amazing. Held us in it, got us a point, and picks again today. 40 saves, just a rock back there. He's been so good for a while there. I know he was a little frustrated after the Columbus game, but I thought we let him down in front of him. But he came out and just played solid for us today.
When you look at the body of work of Darnell Nurse, of course today he gets rewarded with 2 goals, but just his collective body of work on both sides of the puck, how appreciated is DR25 in this locker room?
He's obviously a guy that we really appreciate in this room, but he could go out and not score a goal all season and be an absolute pillar of this team. He's so solid defensively, great on the kill, shuts down top lines, hard to play against. That's what he's paid to do, and he chips in offensively when he can. And today, 2 great shots.
I've been covering the Penguins 20 years. I don't see another player's jersey as much as yours. I know a lot of people come down from Erie. Are you aware of that? Does it give you any more of a... we always wonder why the Penguins' numbers for you are so great. Is that partly because of Sid? Is it partly because when you're coming here, you're going to see a lot of people? Are there a lot of people are going to see you?
I'm not sure. I loved my time in Erie. It's just down the road. I came to many Penguins games when I played in Erie there. It was something that we loved to do, to come down and watch, obviously, Sid and the Penguins. So it's cool to play on this ice, and it's just down the road from Erie, like I mentioned, and my Billets come down always and get to see them, and it kind of feels like a second home game, I would say, around the league. Obviously Toronto's home, but this would be probably second, I would say.
Do you still have the picture they took of you when you were with Erie, with Mario and Sid?
Yeah,
where's it
of course.
Like in your collection? Like
I think my mom's got it somewhere. I don't know, buried now. They've moved since then, but we still got it. She actually pulled out a hat the other day. She was going through some stuff, and there was a Sidney Crosby hat from that same day. So, kind of funny to look back on.
What was that moment like, though, back then? You're meeting two icons at that time.
Yeah, Sid was my idol, and of course Mario is Mario. Everyone knows where he sits in terms of the game's best, and it was a special day, and kind of a surprise. It was coming down just thinking we were going to the game, and found our way into the room and got a chance to meet Sid and Mario and a couple other guys. It was a really special day.
Now you get Yager coming in to meet you. You have conversations with him before?
Here and there, not too much. But of course I am a huge hockey fan first and foremost. I love the game, and what he did and continues to do for the game is nothing short of remarkable. So it was cool to see his number go up a couple weeks back, and nice to see him recognized for his many great years in Pittsburgh and across the league.
Connor, I'm actually from WJT out of Erie, coming to see you today. So I just want to hear about your journey from the OHL, coming from the Otters, and now in the NHL.
It's been almost a decade now, which is hard to believe, but I loved my time in Erie. Honestly, I was lucky to have great billets. They were so good to me. Great teammates. we had two. My first year was a little bit of a struggle, but two really, really good teams where we had a chance to win, and never got it over the line. But it was nice to see a lot of the core guys get it done a couple years later, and a lot of those guys are my friends. So special time in Erie. Look back with great memories for sure.
And obviously reunited with Knobloch, an exciting time to see you guys paired back up. Kind of how has things changed as him as a coach, and now that you guys are at a different level?
Yeah, it's a bit of an Otters reunion in Edmonton with Brownie and Chris and Fogs as well. A lot of Otter ties here in Edmonton. It's fun.
There you go. Connor McDavid, very gracious there, and when you get the local from a smaller town, it's kind of neat, and he was pretty good about that, I would say. McDavid, a goal, 2 assists, +3, 4 shots, 1855 time on ice, and 40% on the dot in the face-off circle, all in a 4-0 Oilers victory. Let's go to a couple of texts here really quickly. Terry in Calgary says, I'm loving McLeod so much better on the wing. I think Henrique really calms down the third line center role as well. Terry in Calgary, good point. I like it. Let's see how this develops and continues on here. And let's see if Henrique can start to expand his game a little bit on the offensive side, getting settled in with his new club. This one, texting in, and I noticed this. It's from Nick. And I said something to you, Zach, to come after the goal was scored, but Nick says Kane interaction after the Nurse second goal. Remember when Kane was like shoving Darnell, and then I think someone came in and shoved Darnell after that too. I think it was playful. I think I was laughing. I was like, "Oh, that's funny."
Well, I'd really hope so. I mean, looking at that, it was odd to see instead of like a fist bump or whatever. I've never seen that before after any goal scored. But they're just.
I think that was my interpretation.
I didn't see Nurse smiling though. That was the one thing I caught. He wasn't really.
He didn't smile after he scored. Yeah, he was just like, I scored.
Yeah,
that was a nice shot.
Maybe that's why Kane was like, "Come on, man, you just scored." So
but then someone else pushed him too. I don't know. I kind of chuckled.
Yeah. I didn't catch that until you mentioned it.
Let's go to the replay.
Where's the replay?
Nick, I noticed it. I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was kind of funny. We'll leave it at. I don't know. If anybody saw it, otherwise, let me know. 780-218-9999. Let's see what's going on with the nasty chat. What are you guys getting up to over there? Great game from Nurse, says Jim. AJ says steak supper. Zulu says taco supper. Induced Comic says CC has been good since the deadline. Jenna says hot dog, pizza, casserole, all for dinner tonight. And Kevin, who was at the game, I believe, said Connor's dad was sitting 4 rows in front of us. Yeah, Kevin was texting in photos earlier. Kevin adds he was cool and hoping for a better game today, just like the rest of us. His response, expletive, yeah, LOL. Kevin, thanks for the updates. Appreciate that. And Jenna adds, Kane is hilarious. I think that is a sarcastic response, but all right. I don't know. Let us know your thoughts, 780-218-9999. All right, Zach, to come. Where to next, pal?
We'll go and head over to the guy who, in his first 50 NHL games as a coach, is 36-12-2. Here is head coach Chris Knobloch.
We were talking to David about how this is kind of an Otters reunion this season for you guys. Can you just talk about the journey, being able to reunite with these guys this season?
Well, it's been very exciting for me. Obviously getting to the NHL, but also getting to the NHL and coaching some former players that I coached and some ones that I have very great memories of. Connor Brown early on and winning a scoring championship for him. Connor obviously getting drafted first overall, and Warren Fogle winning a championship with. It's pretty special for me, but also I guess we capped it off with coming to Pittsburgh and Buffalo, playing teams around here that, and then just seeing all the Otters jerseys in the stands. It's special for us.
How has Connor changed since you had him in Erie when he's just a kid and he's grown up now?
Yeah, it's surprising how fast time goes and how much they grow up and how much they change. But as much as they change, a lot of things still stay the same. He's still a dominant hockey player, still competitive, and still a player that all his teammates really respect.
Chris, what did you make of your team's bounce back effort today?
I think we did a lot of good things. The goal scoring, especially early on in the game, we were able to get up to that lead. And obviously, it's a lot easier game to play when we have that. But then also, Picks played extremely well, making some huge saves, and he really earned that shutout. And unfortunately, it's not his shutout, just because he got pulled for the spotter for 2 minutes. But in our minds, it's definitely his shutout.
And how about the leadership group stepping up in the way they did? Obviously, McDavid scores 98 seconds into this one, or 108 seconds into this one, and then Darnell Nurse 2 goals. Just their will to kind of lead this group by example. Yeah, no, they really stepped up. And those 2 players you talked about, Darnell and Connor, really led. Darnell in the back end, Connor in the front. And, we need those guys to step up. And usually you're winning and losing games with your best players being your best players, and they definitely were tonight.
2-0 in Buffalo, 2-0 in Pittsburgh to a certain point. You have to start thinking, oh my goodness gracious, it's deja vu.
Yes, it was in the third period started. It was definitely, I was thinking about when are we going to get that third goal. And get the third goal, it kind of finishes the game, eliminates any push that they're going to have, and we were able to get that. A little bit later than I would have liked, but we did get it.
Chris, when Calvin walked back into the room after doing some media post-game, there's a huge cheer. As a coach, when you hear that for your backup goaltender, what's that like?
Guys really respect Calvin, just how hard he works and what he does, and he's a good hockey player. But, when those guys who aren't front and center of the team all the time and have success, and you saw it similar to in the shootout in LA when Derek Ryan got the shootout goal. Same with Picks when he got the shutouts. When they have that success, guys get excited and they want to share that, and it's a good sign of a good team.
Chris Knobloch there talking about his team's 4-0 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins, and going down memory lane again about the Erie Otters years. Himself, Fogle, McDavid obviously, Connor Brown reunited in Oilers orange and blue. Okay, I did get a couple of people who saw it, the celebration, the same way I did, with Kane getting pushing around Darnell Nurse there. The Dark Wolf had to double take at that one. I saw that too. I thought they were 2 bros just messing around with each other with an LOL. And Joe says, Kane just trying to have fun and get the serious guys fired up. Yeah, I thought so. And then Z also confirms that. Says Kane was laughing and then Ekholm shoved him. It was all good. Thank you. There. Not much to be read into that. Let's go to this one from Al. Good afternoon, Al. Hi, Tom. Why wasn't Carrick playing? Makes Holland's deadline look even worse. 2 of his 3 acquisitions sitting on the bench. So 0 goals for Brown, 2 goals for Janmark. Can play. Al. I was a bit surprised, Al, that Carrick wasn't playing, although, kind of getting an assessment on the Carrick pickup from some people in the Oilers side of things. They're just like, depth guy, a little beefier than what they have, role player. And then the other thing that was brought up on the pregame show was competition on that 4th line and having guys rotate. And we saw that last season too. Costin would get in. Fogle before Puljujarvi got traded was a healthy scratch at times, and so a little bit of that, I think, and a different look. And then I was surprised, but I kind of get it, and we'll see. I'm sure Carrick will get back right into the lineup soon. And you know what? To Connor Brown's credit, he didn't score. He had a chance. He played all right. Did some things that we could say, yep, that was good. Back check to save and preserve the team shutout. And set up Darnell Nurse for what could have been his hat trick goal. But, a little bit surprising. And Stetcher, I asked Cass earlier, Al, about Stetcher, and Cass just said depth, different look. I'm sure we'll get to see him at some point, but now they have some legitimate depth with NHL players, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. In terms of the deadline, post-mortem, was it excellent for the Oilers? No. Was it satisfactory? Yeah, I think I'd lean more towards satisfactory. You address some needs, depth, obviously, like we just said. And then you get Henrique, who hasn't done much in the 3 games, but maybe gets settled in and starts going at the right time, and that's the stretch drive. So we'll see. Like I said this during the week a couple of times. There's going out and get the big names that everybody wants and covets, and then there's getting the names of the guys who are the right fits. And it feels like Edmonton went with the right fit, didn't appease a lot of people. The proof will be in the pudding if this team can put together a long playoff run. If they don't, we could go back and say, all right, maybe, if there was a chance to add a impact defenseman for a good price, why didn't they? Or why didn't they get a better fourth liner? Or why didn't they go after and make a bigger push for, who were they in the mix for? I'm trying to remember. They're talking about Everly. They circled back on Everly. But Gensel, I think, was out of sight, out of mind. Buchnevich, that never came to be with anybody. So, yeah, well, it'll get picked apart. Trust me. It tends to around here. But we'll see. We'll see, Al. But that's my assessment of what we saw. And Carrick sitting. I was surprised. But when I asked about him a day or two ago, I was just told, yeah, he's depth piece and a little feistier, and that's about it. Jenna, I think, says passable at best in regard to the deadline. Okay, Zach to come. Let's get to some business here. Hey, let's get to the player of the game. Brought to you, as always, by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. If you're looking to get into the market or sell your current home, hit up Damon Bunting, our good friend, DamonBunting.com, or on Instagram, Damon Bunting Real Estate. Got a pic from Damon and EST glue guy Jay Milne last night. The boys, they're out partying. Sherwood Park boys.
Ooh.
Yeah, having a good time. Having a good time. All right, who is the Damon Bunting Remax Elite player of the game? Zach Ticum.
That will have to go to Kelvin Pickard today. 41 saves, of course, gets the team the shutout, and as head coach Chris Knobloch said, even though he was taken out by the spotter and Skinner played just over a minute and some change, it's Pickard's shutout, and he has another amazing start in the Oilers Silks, proven to be a solid backup, somebody who is dependable for the Oilers to lean on if they have to play him. And he made some really good stops this game, of course, 41 saves, and he was there the whole night. He didn't really, he didn't really flop around. He was in good position from what I know. I'm no walking gauge or anything, but what I saw, I liked it, and that's why I'll give him the Damon Bunting player of the game for today.
Very well done, Zach Ticum. Very well done. 41 saves in the team shutout. It's just the rule with Skinner coming in, playing a minute 16 like Zach Ticum alluded to. Those concussion spotters, too good of a sell job when he got bumped into, right? And I don't think he was too happy, but gets the job done at the end of the day. Clean sheet for the Oilers, a 4-0 victory, 39th win of the season, improves their road record to 19-13-1, and now they get set for a 4-game homestand starting Wednesday. We're at Hudson's Bourbon Street for that one, live on location for the pre- and post-game show, and then it's Colorado on Saturday, Montreal on Tuesday the 19th, Buffalo to close out the 4-game homestand on Thursday the 21st, and the Oilers hit the road for 3, Saturday the 23rd in Toronto, Sunday the 24th in Ottawa, and then Tuesday the 26th in Winnipeg. And that's Winnipeg. And then they come home to face LA and Anaheim to close out the month of March. It's going to be a busy end of the month. It's going to be a busy April, maybe a busy May for the Oilers, and we're here for it. Very excited. It is spring. You can feel it. You'll start to see grass soon. Things are going to get warm. Playoff weather, as I like to say. Playoff weather. All right. Any final thoughts, Zach Ticum? You're good to go? Your day is done? You put in a good day today, I would say.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Even with the hour of sleep, I guess final thoughts, you win 5 in a row as the Oilers. You drop a couple, and, you get the win back now against the Pens, and they've won the last 6 in a row, which is the first time in the series history, spanning all the way back to whenever these teams were in the league, that any team on either side got 6 in a row. That's never happened before.
Right.
On the broadcast, it was mentioned that a couple times in the 80s, the Oilers got 5 in a row up against the Penguins, and then the Penguins sort of dominated in the Oilers' decade of darkness, sort of.
Oh, the 90s were not good either, especially the mid-90s. I remember Jágr coming in here and just having the puck on a string against a hapless Oilers, and I think around like 93 or 94. Back in the day, Zach to come.
Back in the day.
Yep. And red seats at Northlands Coliseum back then.
Red seats?
That's how long ago it was, yeah.
Interesting.
You didn't know that? The seats used to be red down low, and then they had the blues up top, and then they renovated in 95 during the lockout.
Truth be told, I've actually never been to a game. I was never at a game at Rexall for the Oilers. For the Oilers specifically, I've been Oil Kings, but different vibes. Different vibes. Yeah. And I don't know. Looking ahead to the homestand, I believe that the Oilers have the capability of making it 3-1-0. Hopefully they're able to do that. They weren't able to do that on the road trip, of course, dropping those couple games that I believe and most would agree with that the Oilers should have gotten. So I'm going to be there Wednesday night at Rogers Place, actually, watching that game when they played the Capitals. So it's going to be a good time. And, it was a good day today. And 4-0 victory. I'm leaving happy from the EST studios today.
Attaboy, Zach to come. Well done, sir. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream post-game show. Edmonton getting a 4-0 win. A couple of texts really quickly here. Norman to come by. Tom, game sounded good. Bobby's treat to listen to. Smoked meatloaf tonight, Norm. You and the boys and the fam enjoy that smoked meatloaf. Another text says, congrats to Sask for beating Alberta in curling. Hopefully they beat Gushu in the finals. Nasty chat, thank you for everything. You guys were fun today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. For Zach to come and Matt Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying ciao for now. See you tomorrow.